Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
We have a lot of bad things coming up. You could end up in a depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing. Took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that, and we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war.
And we know we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die trying because we love our country and we believe.
We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse.
That's a big part of this campaign. You know, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. We know what we stand for, and we stand for the people. And we stand for the dignity of work. And we stand for freedom. We stand for justice. We stand for equality.
Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this very seriously, particularly at a time where there's enthusiasm on the other side. Why haven't you been campaigning this?
Because I'm leading by a lot, and because I'm letting their convention go through, and I am campaigning a lot.
What? So that was compare and contrast moment where the darkness, guess which one was? Yeah, was predicting World War III and the stock market crash and a Great Depression was going to be upon us, saying, it was, and Kamala and Tim Walz were in Michigan, in Wayne, Michigan, at the UAW, actually thanking them for their endorsement of the ticket in person, and telling them that they believe in the greatness of this country and that we are, going in the right direction with the Biden agenda, with the Harris-Walz agenda, with the unionization of this country, with a reinvestment in manufacturing, where the Rust Belt is now becoming the battery belt, and it's becoming the chips belt, it's becoming the science belt, And Donald Trump is, doom and gloom and the darkness himself. The darkness. Now, it's so weird because I did work with a narcissist once. It was horrible. And so many people didn't know what I was going through with this person, but it was hideous. I mean, and I've always said the problem with narcissists is that they are contagious and they crawl into your life. Okay, they crawl into your every moment of your life, every achievement, everything you're trying to work on, everything you do, right? And they become the darkness. They become like this big dark cloud, almost like a pig pen kind of a thing, where the dirt just falls. Well, that's kind of what Donald Trump is showing you. He's showing you that he is indeed the darkness, that he is a person who cannot stand to see other people thrive. He can't stand to see the crowd size is what's driving. I mean, I don't know if it's the poll numbers, which, right now the poll numbers are not where you would want them to be, but they definitely are going in the right direction. Definitely going there. I don't know if it's the poll numbers that are driving him insane, if it's the crowd size that's driving him insane, or if it's the absolute sunny optimism that is driving him insane. But I will tell you, narcissists cannot handle anything that I just mentioned. They can't handle somebody getting ahead without them. They can't handle, happiness. They can't handle sunshine. They can't handle good news. They can't handle none of it. None of it is possible in their minds, right? And if they ever, reconciled, they would crash. Like their whole life would come apart. And I don't know, what would happen then. But you saw that yesterday, and everyone saw that yesterday. Everybody in the world saw that yesterday. This was freaking frightening. This was an amazingly, the comments about what happened yesterday with this thing. It was like, listen, if the Republican Party was a real party right now, if it was, everybody in it would be saying, oh my God, we're so effed, and how do we get him to drop out? Do you know what I mean? But it's not a real party. It's a party of sycophants. It's a party that's literally rolling the dice, and they're betting all of it. They're betting the entire farm on this man. And they have no choice now but to stay unified behind him, because there is no chance. There is no chance to, I mean, they've already had their convention. And we're just, do you realize what day this is of the Harris Walls ticket? Do you understand? Today is day 13. Seems like 1,000 years, right? Because joy feels so damn good. But, the darkness also drags you down. And it always feels like, 100 years with him, too. But this is only day 13. Day 13, and the man had to go on the TV and have a public meltdown. He had to do it. And they're not coming off their message. And you know what? They shouldn't. They went ahead with their UAW appearance. They're in Arizona today, the Harris Walls campaign. And he is literally, in Montana, probably go to Wyoming and, pick people's pockets there and make them, give money to him, saying, oh, I alone could fix it. And, they'll say, all right, we're so far down this road, we have no choice. Bet the farm. Literally, bet the farm. And they'll give him money. You know what I mean? That's another thing. The fundraising, the Harris Walls ticket. Like I said, when she announced Walls, that first day, $36 million came rolling in. People like this ticket. They like the message. They like the enthusiasm. They like the joyfulness. They like the happiness. They like the forward looking. They like that this election is about the future, and he's literally litigating the past. And he has no new material, which I think is like the biggest sin of all. If he was going to, troll people in this way that rich people do, like on the tarmac and stuff, my plane's bigger than your plane, that kind of crap, he should at least have some new material. Do you know what I'm saying? And he doesn't. He absolutely doesn't. It's so sad. So there will be a debate. That's it. Listen, this is what I said yesterday coming out of that thing. It stunned me. It really did. It just stunned me because it started yesterday afternoon around 2 o'clock Eastern time, and 3 o'clock we start, right? And he was still whining, bitching, moaning, complaining. And you know what was really interesting? And I didn't notice this. I really didn't, and I'm pretty observant, but I think it was Tim Miller or somebody, Republicans Against Trump, that saw that he was standing not in front of the seal of, the MAGA seal, not in front of, his logo, not in front of, a Trump Vance logo. He was standing in front of a MAGA logo, right? Like there was no advance team where, like he just decided to do this. Like he just decided, to roll out of bed and to, put some ointment on his hurt ego and go out there and, do whatever the hell he wants to do. And it was so painful and so awful to watch, really. And so when we came on, he was still doing it. And I was shocked. I was shocked that it was. But the way that he got people to turn it on, and I swear the media hasn't learned jack crap from 2016. They haven't learned a freaking thing. The way he got them to put this on live, because, they stopped showing these rallies a long-ass time ago because, A, they were violent, B, it was the same old, D, C, he never learned any new material at all. And the crowds just kept on getting smaller and tinier and senior and minuscule and, whatever. And so they stopped. Well, yesterday he lied and said that he was going to throw down the gauntlet and he was going to challenge Kamala Harris to a debate or something like this. And all he did was he got on the TV and he accepted the already previously scheduled debate for September 10th on ABC, which he said he would not do. He didn't challenge anybody to anything. And went on and on about the doom and the gloom of that. I tell you, like Game of Thrones is happier. All he needs is some dragons, and if I were him, I would just, throw them in there because this is really dark. This is dank. This is like, Middle Earth now. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like The Hobbit I said yesterday. It reminded me of people that live in Middle Earth would relate to what he did yesterday. Anyway, he got caught in so many lies. No one, forget it.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
case in point about Donald Trump's mental acuity. During yesterday's news conference, he told us sort of weird story about nearly dying during a helicopter ride. But as the New York Times points out, there was only one problem with the story, or maybe two, or maybe three problems. Here's the ex-president yesterday at Mar-a-Lago when asked about former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, who briefly dated Vice President Kamala Harris nearly 3 decades ago. Take a listen.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
OK, so it's an odd story, but what's the real issue with that story? Well, it appears it never actually happened.
It never happened.
First, Trump was never on a helicopter with Willie Brown. He's apparently confusing him with former California Governor Jerry Brown.
Oh, my God.
Take a look. The two don't really look terribly similar. Secondly, there was never any emergency landing, as Trump claimed, and the helicopter's passengers were never in any danger. Mayor Brown, who, as the Times notes, loves regaling anybody who will listen with stories, said, quote, "You know me well enough to know that if I almost went down in a helicopter with anybody, you would have heard about it." And according to Gavin Newsom, who was also on that ride, there was never any discussion at all about one Kamala Harris. For his part, Willie Brown isn't saying terrible things about Harris at all. In fact, he remains an avid supporter of hers. You understand why they use the word weird. The group took a helicopter to survey wildfire damage in 2018, an event where Trump would confuse the name of the town that was destroyed and also claim the solution to California's wildfire crisis was to, quote, rake the forest floors.
Oh, for God's sake.
I mean, he confused Willie Brown, who he said he knew very well. He hasn't seen him in years, but he knows him very well. He confused Willie Brown, the mayor of San Francisco, with Jerry Brown, the former governor. And Gavin Newsom was on. I mean, okay, so a reporter caught up with Willie Brown and asked Willie Brown, what do you make of this? I mean, do you know what Donald Trump said yesterday? What do you make of the idea that he knows you very well and that you almost died with him on a helicopter ride to survey fire damage in a place called Paradise, California? Remember the Paradise fire? It was just a couple years ago, right? And Donald Trump kept calling it Pleasure, California. Yeah. And Willie Brown said this.
So you were on a helicopter with him that almost crashed?
No.
No.
That's your answer, right? Okay.
He's dreaming.
Okay. I have heard you talk about Kamala Harris in only the most respectful, amazing ways. He's implying that you had negative things to say, maybe even locker room talk. Why would he say that?
Well, first and foremost, I could not envision thinking of Kamala Harris in any negative way. She was a good friend, long time ago, absolutely beautiful woman, smart as all hell, very successful, electorally speaking. I was a part of every campaign that she's ever been involved in, supported her religiously, and will still do so. And I am just looking forward for the next 89 days.
88 days now. That was yesterday. They caught up with Willie Brown like almost in real time. And apparently he was hanging out, getting a bite to eat. And so he was easy to approach and discuss this with. He's like, he just laughed his ass off. Okay. I mean, like this guy, why is it that Donald Trump knows Willie Brown, who he doesn't know, but doesn't know Michael Cohen, who he does know? What is that about? Is that a mental break, or is that just a lie? And just the way liars lie when they get caught in lies. I don't know. But the message here is don't believe a word that freak says, okay? I mean, it's beyond weird. He's deplorable. Hillary was right, with the word. He is disgusting. He's disgraceful. That's his word. He is a dirty dealer. He's just, and the only hope he has, as you know, is to show up at this debate and be somebody other than who he is. And, no matter who he shows up being on September 10th on the ABC debate with Kamala Harris will be able to beat that person, whoever he decides to be that day, whether he's stalker Trump. Do you remember the debate with him and Hillary where he just stalked her? He just walked behind her and stalked her, and he was snide and sarcastic, like, she tried to show you that he cheated on his taxes way before the fraud case actually was decided against him, with 34 felonies adjudicated against him by a jury of his peers, right? So Hillary tried to tell you, she tried to warn us, she tried to, send up the flare, she tried to, get you to pay attention to the fact that nothing that this guy says is remotely related to reality. None of his books are remotely related to the reality of who he is and how he made his money. And so she pointed out that he doesn't pay his taxes, and he said, that makes me smart. And people were like, woohoo, cheering on the felon. So I'm like, I don't know which guy is going to show up now, to take on Kamala, because Kamala is indeed a prosecutor, and she is supremely fast on her feet. And we know that because we've seen her debate. We've seen her debate and take on other lawyers. We've seen her debate Bill Barr. We've seen her debate Kavanaugh. We saw her debate Jeff Sessions, the first Attorney General of the United States of America. We saw her debate, Biden and every, Democratic candidate. We saw her debate Pence. Mike Pence. This is where we first became familiar with the way she tells people to not speak over her. She goes, I'm speaking. Remember that? She used that again to great effect the other day. She had herself a nice 15,000 strong crowd, and somebody heckled her about, like 2 or 3 kids heckled her about the Palestinian situation, which, like I said, everybody that I know has the same, except for the hard left, has the same exact opinion on what's going on over there. A, it's over there. B, Netanyahu is the worst leader that Israel has ever had. And C, it's really heartbreaking when you see the amount of destruction and killing and death and despair that's been caused in this little 25-mile strip of land called Gaza, right? She feels that way. Everybody I know feels that way, except for the hard left, who's like, blaming us for the right-wing Likud government over there, which is crazy.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Dude, I really can't understand what it is that, the hard left really thinks is good about, blaming us for the right wing, extreme hard right in Israel doing, the most aggressive, response that you could even imagine after October 7th. I don't know. And she's right. Like, if you want Trump to win, keep doing it. Just keep on doing what you do, because it's not going to do anything that you want it to do by screaming genocide and that we're responsible for genocide. It's wild. It's really wild. It's very defeating. It's really upsetting. I've kind of walked away knowing that it's a failing approach to an election that's only 88 days away. However, there are people that are just going to keep on doing it. They're just going to keep on until Donald Trump becomes the president, and then they can bitch and moan some more when he actually clears out the place, clears it out for development of, 5-star hotels and, golf courses in the desert on the Mediterranean. Truly. All right, Ernesto in California.
Hi, Randy. Give me a second. Hey, first of all, let me get off.
Can you take me off your speakerphone, please? Thank you.
Yes, I'm off the speakerphone.
Can you take me off your speakerphone, please? Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay. I dropped the phone. Are you still there?
Yes.
No.
All right, then. That was worth waiting for. Thank you. Ed in California.
Andy?
Yep.
Hey, this is Ed Crow from Woodcrest, California.
Hi.
I can barely hear you, but I'll go ahead anyway. I want to know why our voter registration isn't classified as a part of our papers, like the Constitution says. You know, Congress should make no law respecting the establishment of religion, whatever, The freedom of speech, which is the only way we have to talk to our government, is to vote.
Yeah.
In an election.
Yeah.
We have to petition the government for redress or whatever,
Right. That means you can
All right.
sue.
Now then, Amendment 4 says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, and papers.
Right.
In effect. And you need a warrant, signed by a judge or some to take that. Now, why isn't our voter registration part of our papers? Why can a state just take, like Texas, 2.1 million people off the voting list?
If you really want to go there, then it's because you don't have a right to vote.
What's that?
If you want to go there, it's because you really don't have a right to vote. There's nothing in the Constitution that guarantees you a right to vote. A registration is a public document, okay? It's a roll that is, tended to by the Secretary of State and also, your local Secretary of State, right? Your local, not Secretary of State, your local election supervisor. So there's no constitutional right to vote.
Constitution gives us the right to vote.
Where?
Oh.
It doesn't. I don't want to make you feel bad. It doesn't. It says that the state can choose the manner in which the electors are selected, right? And so if your state decides
places, times, and manners.
Yes. And so if your state says that the way that they're going to choose the electors doesn't include you, they are free to do that.
Well, I think if you're registered to vote, just like you get a driver's license issued by the state, that's part of your papers.
And they can take it from you, if they say that you are a reckless driver or you're driving under the influence or whatever, and then you have the right to defend yourself,
you have to go to court and have a judge do that?
What do you think redress of grievances means?
I just don't understand it.
Okay, well, thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Why? Because it's not a right. You don't have a right to a driver's license, and you don't have a right to register to vote. You don't have a right to vote. That's the whole point, and that's the scariest thing to say out loud, okay? It's terrifying for me to have to tell you that, but that is the truth. And the second that this election is wrapped, okay, if it's not a blowout, if it's at all close, if you could argue in, Arizona that it was, rigged or that it wasn't, the victory was less than 0.5 of a point, right? If you can make any argument at all, challenge any election at all in Georgia, in Arizona, in Nevada, in any swing state, okay? Promise you, one of the arguments that the Trump campaign, who will lose, Only the Trump campaign would make this argument. So we have to assume that we're talking that way, that they lost. Joe Biden just said the other day he has no confidence that if Donald Trump loses, there'll be a peaceful transition of power, okay? And so I just want you to understand that if it's close in any state where there could be a case made that the election wasn't free and fair or whatever, one of the arguments they will make is that you don't have a right to vote, that the legislatures can override you. It's because there is no right to vote. There just isn't. It's a thing that we actually have to deal with. There's so many things that are still left to tradition and to, what we've grown accustomed to, but it isn't codified, as they say, in law. One of those is Roe v. Wade, obviously. Another one is gay marriage. Well, we did get the Defense of Marriage Act. But some of the things that we need to tend to is voting, a right to vote, a right to vote. There's a lot. And every time we take over, every time Democrats are, selected because they've tried their Republican thing and the whole thing's gone south and the whole thing's, a mess and the economy has crashed, either because they let banks rip you off or in this case because he let COVID go out of control and he couldn't manage it, whatever, right? And we're always on the cleanup. We're always the cleanup crew. We're always the ones that, have to come in and clean up their mess. And so the things that we have to deal with right away is a crashing economy. And we have to work really hard to set it right. We have to, pass legislation to get people child tax credits. We have to pass legislation to get people, more food benefits. EBT cards have to have more money put on them because the lines for food are so long all over this country, right? And we never really get to the point where we fix things.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
What you got?
President Trump had a press conference today. He talked about a lot of things. I wonder if you have a reaction to what he's talking about.
Well, I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it and hope he shows up.
Are you open to more debate?
I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th, for sure.
He proposed two more debates.
Like I said, happy to have that conversation.
Why do you think he pulled out of a debate with you? Why do you think
I am beyond trying to speculate about hockey things.
What else? Can you comment on some of his other criticisms? He made a whole litany of them today. Some of them are about your...
I was too busy talking to voters. I didn't hear him.
I was too busy talking to voters. Yay! I mean, obviously the news that he has accepted the pre-scheduled debate on September 10th on ABC that he said he would not show up to. He only would show up to a Fox News debate because he needs to have, the cake baked with a chisel in it so he could, feel somewhat secure that it would go his way, right? But he obviously sees that he could lose now. I think it's become very clear to him that he's losing, that the trajectory of the numbers are not going his way, that people who were undecided, that they are now very delighted with this ticket, the Democratic ticket. I think he sees also that the Democrats are delighted with the ticket. It's very interesting. I love Joe Biden. She does too. And by the way, next week on the 15th, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden will be doing a joint appearance in Maryland. I don't have any more details than that, but I know that they will be out there together. So this lie that Donald Trump is trying to, express is a lie that says that it was an act of violation of the Constitution that they, kicked Joe Biden off of the ticket. No, Joe Biden is not enslaved. He is not forced to be president. Joe Biden decides if he's going to run for the Democratic nomination again. Remember LBJ, I will not accept, nor will I seek my party's nomination for president of the United States? Well, Joe Biden did the same thing. There's nothing anti-constitutional about saying I don't want to be president again, or I don't feel like I can run a campaign, or I don't think I can win. And so I'm going to pass the torch to somebody younger, somebody ready, somebody who I think is fabulous for this country. I'm going to pass the torch because it matters who the president is. So Donald Trump is trying to spread this lie that somehow an anti-constitutional thing happened, and they kicked, Biden out, and Biden is very angry at Kamala. So they're going to be out on the road together next week to show what a lie that is. Just like talking to Willie Brown yesterday to show what a lie the helicopter story was. Everything he says is a lie, right? But she did not hear this rambling thing of his until she got on the aircraft and started heading out yesterday to Arizona for today, right? For today's appearance. And then after Arizona, they will head to Nevada today, right? And so she didn't hear this unhinged mess. Finally, I guess they had an hour on the aircraft, on Air Force Two, and she was able to see what he said. And they put out the most hysterical, I mean, it was really funny. It was really a good response to this unhinged thing or whatever it was. I mean, that's kind of what they, if you go to my Twitter at Randi Rhodes, you'll see I put it up there. But she was like, compared to our joyous warrior versus whatever the hell that was, we have a lot to say about it. Here are some of our initial thoughts, with more to come. He hasn't campaigned all week. He hasn't gone to a single swing state this week. He sure is mad Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are getting the big crowds across the battleground. The facts were hard to track and harder to find in Donald Trump's MAGA Loco meltdown this afternoon. He lied. He attacked the media. And he made excuses for why he's off the campaign trail. They actually put out a thing that said, so he finally put on a pair of pants and rolled out of bed and went to his, very large lobby in his resort where he lives and decided to walk up to a microphone and say things, say words. And that's what he did. He said things. He said words. I mean, it was very, very, very strange. There were parts of what he said that, obviously they were lies because that's what he does. But there were parts of his conversation where I couldn't even tell like what he was trying to say. Like, what was he getting at? I mean, this was him trying to tell you to be scared of Tim Walz.
She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen. She picked a radical left man that is
man, woman, camera. Okay.
He's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds.
What is he heavy into lots of different worlds? Heavy into transgender world. What does that even mean? He protects children who are bullied? He protects children who are singled out by other classmates for torture and bullying and name calling, and he protects them? That's deep into the transgender world and other worlds, by the way. Other worlds. This is a man who lives in Mordor. This is a man who lives in Middle Earth. This is a man who actually, Lord of the Flies has nothing on him. And he trashes our country every single day. He trashes America and says it's a terrible country. It's full of crime and it's a disaster. And people are, he actually said people are starving to death in our country, and it's because millions are dying because they can't buy bacon. He said that.
Mary, how does the man?
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
MAGA is a disease that has robbed a lot of people of their dads, stolen by the hatred coming out of Fox News and OAN and Newsmax or whatever garbage outlets they have. So when a wholesome America's dad like Tim Walz comes along, MAGA starts looking for any crack in the armor. The claim, Tim Walz retired because he knew he was going to deploy to Iraq. F***ing bullshit. Especially considering some of the people regurgitating this horse ought to f***ing know better. Yeah, motherfucker, I see you out there lacking integrity and f***ing scumbags. Tim Walz submitted his retirement request to the National Guard months prior to notification of his unit's deployment. This is a matter of public record and jives 100% with how retirement actually works in the military. His unit was fully staffed and his request was approved. He retired in May of 2005. The claim, Tim Walz is using a rank he didn't attain and that's stolen valor. Bullshit. And the Minnesota National Guard confirmed it. Walz never claimed he retired as a sergeant major. He retired as a master sergeant. That doesn't change the verified fact that he was the battalion sergeant major. And some of y'all motherfuckers out there are acting like you've never heard of somebody being frocked into a billet. So again, it's a lot of veterans out there drinking MAGA Kool-Aid and completely losing their bearing and their integrity. I said it. But what do you expect from people in a f***ing cult who worship a draft-dodging traitor who not only steals money from veteran charities, but also mocked a POW, berated Gold Star families going through their grief of losing their warrior, and then this same draft-dodging called out our fallen warriors, called them suckers and losers? This is the same guy who was so incompetent of a leader that he failed in his own insurrection after losing his own re-election, who chose as his running partner a fobbit who never stepped outside the wire and wrote news articles from an air-conditioned office. It really f***s me right off when some fobbit pogue is talking shit about combat arms when they're not fit to hold the sergeant major's jock.
Don't piss off the vets, Donald. Don't piss us off.
I don't know what a fobbit gobe is. It's hilarious.
It sounds bad.
Sounds really insulting. I love it.
Okay, so here's the info. Okay, here's the real deal on what is going on. Do you remember in the Wayback Machine? Do you remember 2004? Anybody? Does anybody remember the year 2004? Okay, this is why I want you to remember the year 2004. In 2004, John Kerry was running for president. And in 2004, John Kerry, who was in Vietnam, who did see combat, who actually testified in front of Congress as an ex-Vietnam veteran and asked the very poignant question of Congress, how do you ask the last man in Vietnam to be the last man to die? How do you ask a man to be the last man to die for a war you cannot win, right? Well, this actually became a thing when John Kerry was all grown up and a senator and was running for the presidency. And God, we have deprived ourselves of some really fine presidents. Seriously. John Kerry, Al Gore. You just think about all the Hillary Clinton would have been 80 billion times better than Donald Trump. Anyway, John Kerry, who was a hero, was swift-boated. Do you remember that term, swift-boated? That is when somebody denigrates your honorably delivered, your honorable service to this nation. You know, you're a person and you actually sign up and you are, or you're drafted and you go and you get deployed and you're now in the middle of a meat grinder of a war that the government that sent you there knows they cannot win, but they want you there anyway. And then you come back and you testify that way. And then you say, well, I probably can do much more good from the inside than I can from the outside. So you know what? I will serve this nation as a senator. I will run. Anyway, in 2004, U.S. Senator John Kerry was our Democratic presidential nominee. He was married to a wealthy woman named Teresa Hines. And I promise you, when I get done with this story, they're about this close to connecting Tim Walz to Teresa Hines. I mean, they're going to start lying and saying he was married to her too. But the Iraq War was a major campaign issue in 2004, and John Kerry campaigned against it by accurately telling the people that Iraq was a made-up lie that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. There were no chemical belts around Baghdad. Do you remember that? And he attacked George W. Bush for telling that awesomely big, deadly, gross lie. And so the people who wanted tax cuts, the people who wanted another Republican president, the people who weren't done stealing, the people who thought that, George Bush was so close to almost an imperial presidency. They were calling it the unitary executive theory of governing, right? They didn't even want to go and ask for Congress to authorize the use of military force anymore. And they wanted to not be part of the Geneva Conventions anymore. They wanted to be able to torture people. Black site prisons were good. Gitmo, which was, extrajudicial holding of people. They wanted a whole host of powers that they didn't currently enjoy. But the moneyed elite thought we were very close to it and we should actually double down on the Bush presidency. And so, backed by GOP big money donors and veterans and some with grievances against John Kerry, they formed a group. And that group was called Swift Boat Veterans for Truth. Swift Boat Veterans for Truth. And they attacked John Kerry's Vietnam War record. It was a massively funded campaign to denigrate his service to this nation. They destroyed his military record. They made him into a brutalizer of troops. They made him into a coward, whatever, depending on who you talk. But the term swift boating became a term. It became a thing. And it meant an organized political and personal smear campaign that leveled false accusations against somebody who served honorably, right? They just went against anybody who served with honor and dignity. Okay, John McCain, Donald Trump did it too, right? He wasn't a hero. He likes people that don't get captured. Kaiser Khan, remember his son was killed in Iraq, and he was a Gold Star father. Well, he was a piece of crap, right? His son was a loser and a sucker. Anyway, guess who funded Swift Boat Veterans for Truth? Guess. It's the same man who owns Clarence Thomas. It's the same man who owns 2/3 of our Supreme Court. Yes, it was funded by Harlan Crow. Harlan Crow, who bought Clarence Thomas's mother's house and let her live in. Harlan Crow, who takes Clarence Thomas on his yacht. It's the same group of sickos, okay? Psychos. It's the same group of, it's the same smear. It's, like I said, they need new material. They really do. But, Jane Meyer, she's a brilliant reporter. She figured this out.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
The people who kept us there for years, the same people who said, give us your sons and daughters, give us your trillions of dollars, we're building something real and lasting here, right? They lied the whole time. I mean, I believed them until I went there, and then I saw that it was all untrue. And I think the lie that hurts me the most is just how they told me that I was fighting for freedom over there. They told us all we were fighting for freedom, but really, like I've seen on this campaign trail in the last few months, like the real fight for freedom is right here. The front lines for the fight for freedom and democracy, it's right here in Missouri, right? Abortion rights are on the line. Voting rights are on the line. That's not in Afghanistan for us. That's for us right here, right? It's all on the line in Missouri. And so you just see that as a veteran who's been exposed to burn pits. You see these Republicans first take away all of our rights or attack them, and then the people they sent over there, they won't even take care of us, and they try to hold us politically hostage. It's absolutely criminal. That's what I'm running against here. It's why I'm thrilled to be doing this race, and we gotta win here on the front lines of democracy so that we can keep our country intact.
You know who that is? That is Lucas Kuntz. I mean, it's a hard name to say. Anyway, he's a former Marine, a major, I believe, and fought in Afghanistan, right? And he just won the primary. He is going to be running against Josh Hawley, that coward. Josh Hawley, the little ballerina who pumped his fist in front of everybody on January 6th, and then when the crap goes down, he runs like a little girl. Woo, I'm scared. Mommy, come and help me. Right? Well, Lucas is running against him in Missouri, and you know what? I really do think he could win. I really do. So it's so interesting, though, that each and every time a veteran shows up to challenge these Republican liars who love to send our sons and daughters into, battlefields, in far-flung places around this globe to defend our freedom while our freedom is disappearing here where we need to be to fight for it for real, what do? They smear that veteran. They smear their honorable service. They smear their record. They call them, stolen valor. That they pretended to be a hero, but they really were. Oh, I mean, Josh Hawley fits that bill so well. But it's pretty amazing. So, the New Yorker has a Pulitzer Prize. I believe she's she's an award-winning journalist. Her name's Jane Mayer, and she actually wrote. Quote, and this was like, oh my God. I mean, I read it, it was like, oh, everyone in this audience has to know this. She wrote, quote, remember when John Kerry was swift-boated by Chris LaSavida, who was doing it to Tim Walz now? Guess who funded it? Harlan Crow, the billionaire who's been lavishing freebies on Clarence Thomas. And then she goes through the whole funding of the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth. And not only does she nail Harlan Crow as the major donor to this group, also Harlan Crow gave, remember what was it, Liberty, what was Ginny Thomas's group? Liberty Central. So Ginny Thomas's group was kicked off Liberty Central with $550,000. Of the $550,000, $500,000 of it was from Harlan Crow. You could see where there might be a problem with this dude buying 2/3 of the Supreme Court. And now he's funding this effort that he's running through the same guy who did it to John Kerry, but Chris LaSavida now is the campaign chair for Donald Trump these days. It's the same cast of characters. It's the same crew. It's the same trick. It's the same game. It's the same lie. You don't realize how much new material they don't have. So this is what they're doing. They're swift-boating Tim Walz. And I tell you, every veteran in this audience who either remembers 2004 or doesn't, I doubt that guy remembers 2004. That's 20 years ago. He only looked to be about, 30, 32 years old, the guy with the beard in that clip there. I'm telling you right now, I remember it. And it was the same exact dudes. It's the same people. It's the same cast of miscreants. It's the same they're running the same route. They're running the same play. Green Bay sweep. Oh, speaking of him, we saw him yesterday. Navarro. Yeah, he's out of prison. He's out of prison, and he was attending a homeowners association meeting that Howard was also attending.
Did he have gang tats all over his face?
He did not.
Okay.
He was bullying everybody at the homeowners association meeting. He was telling them how they were doing everything wrong. He had an opinion about everything ever that came down the pike. He was just kept disrupting the meeting. And finally, Howard told him to sit down and shut up. And he had nothing else to say. So 100% proof positive, he's just a bully. And the second you stand up to them, they cry and run back to mommy, just like Josh Hawley, just like, Peter Navarro, just like Donald Trump. And Kamala Harris will be handing him his papers, okay, to walk. She will be so happy to help him lose. But that the Swift Boat Veterans for Freedom, it's the same two guys. Okay, Chris Lecevita, who is now the manager for the Trump campaign and doing just a spectacular job, I must say. Chris, kudos to you. You put a smile on everybody's face yesterday when we watched the president melt down and be unhinged in public for over an hour. Well done. Good job, buddy. When he goes to prison, you really ought to visit him because you owe him that much. You do. You better put some money in his commissary because you owe him. You let him go out there yesterday and do that? You let him go out there yesterday with that dog and pony show? You let him go put his pants on, roll out of bed, and just lie for an hour and a half? Are you freaking kidding me? And really, the disgusting manner in which you pose yourself as being somebody who's going to expose Tim Walz as a phony after wearing the uniform for 24 years. Well, it's just, it's chef kiss beautiful. It's just, wow. We owe you. But you owe Trump because he just lost yesterday. I just hope you understand that. So he is a veteran Republican strategist, Chris Lecevita is, and he orchestrated the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth takedown of John Kerry back in 2004. And a mere 20 years later, he's risen in the ranks of the Republican Party to be the losing campaign chairman in 2024. Good for you. Way to go. I'm telling you, everything old is new again. And I do have, our convention is to begin August, 19th? I do have some concerns about the, protesting that might go on there. Might. I don't know. But, I do have some concerns about that because, it's pretty much all that's left is for, let's say, the AutoZone umbrella guy types to go to Chicago and pretend that there's someone else and break windows and loot and just start screaming, hey, Kamala or whatever, we're not going to vote for genocide or whatever their little chant is. But they won't be people who give a damn about any of it. They will be people who want to make our convention crazy.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
They will ban abortion across this country no matter what Congress says. Now, look, damn right it is, and I don't know why this is so simple or so difficult for these people to understand. You know how things work really well in life and really well with your neighbors and really well in communities? When you mind your own damn business, things work better. Stay out of our business. Stay out of our business. He's not fighting for you. He doesn't know you. He doesn't care about your family. And his running mate is just as dangerous and backward as he is. So look, we know who they are. The choir's ready to sing. This campaign's about the future, your future. Vice President Harris sure knows that. She grew up in a middle-class family. She goes to work every day making sure families are on the front so that they can get ahead and they can get into the middle class. She believes in something so simple and so beautiful. And when we go to these rallies, I say it too. People drive, they sit in the sun, they get there, they stand next to their neighbor for one simple reason. And just like the Vice President says, they believe in their hearts in the promise of America. They believe it. They believe it.
They believe it. They love their country. They believe in the promise. They believe that we can, live through this horror show that we've been living through. They believe that things were getting better. And they believe that we should continue on that trajectory, not go back. That's why the entire handle, it's they have some really good chants, but we're not going back is one of the best ones ever. Because that's really what they want to do is take us back. And we weren't sure, do they want to go back to the 1950s? Did they want to go back to... no, it's the 1860s. That's how far back they want to take you. They want to go so far back that there's no direct election of senators. They want to go so far back that women can't vote. They want to go so far back that discrimination is a thing. It's a thing. It's allowed. They want to go so far back that, you won't even recognize, this as being the 21st century. You will think it's the 19th. We don't want to go backwards. We want to go forwards. And this is a happy campaign. This is a sunny, optimistic campaign versus the darkness, versus Gollum, versus Mordor, versus, I don't watch the Dragon show. But it is that darkness minus the fun dragons, I guess. Because dragons seem fun. But I can't. Winter is coming. I watched that one episode a long time ago. It's like, no, I'm out. I am not that dark.
You should circle back. Game of Thrones is amazing.
No. Tom in California.
Yes, Randy. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Well, I want to let you know that I did have the opportunity to meet Kamala Harris years ago, and she would come to our Maritime Union in Oakland to our luncheon every Thanksgiving, and I personally talked with her and shook her hand. I thanked her when she was Attorney General. She did make it, and she saved a friend of mine's house. My lady friend would have been out on the street if it had not been for Kamala Harris.
Oh, wow. Oh, I don't know what happened. Was that him or is that all of our equipment failing?
That was on his end, unless he just wanted to make
Are
that
you sure?
point and get
Because
out.
all of our equipment's been failing all day.
It's been bad.
All day. All right, Joseph in Tennessee.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. I can.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I would want to talk about the debate and why our president is going to mess around with Trump, because all he's going to do is get up there and lie.
Yep.
He don't never, he ain't got nothing to talk about, because what he needs to talk about, he ain't going to say it. And
Well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about, policy. Donald Trump is not a person that cares about policy. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. So he just cares about himself. And all he's trying to do at this point, and you can see how terrified he is. You can see his fear now. You can smell it pretty much through the TV.
I watch him. I watch him on TV talking, and he don't never tell the truth about nothing. He's always trying to down the Democrats and the vice president and everything about everything, but he don't never say nothing about how he fixed nothing. He talk about how they messed stuff up and what they do. And I've listened and I say, well, sometimes you need to tell about what you're going to do to make it better.
Yeah, well, he's a con man, so what he does is he tells you what your problem is, and he tells you that he alone can fix it, and he can fix it quickly. But he never says how. He just uses these words that sound promising, like, I can do it, we'll do it quickly, and you'll see, it's be nothing like you ever saw before. We're going to do something that no one's ever seen before, and makes you think that whatever it is that is rattling around his head is some really good idea that he never quite tells you, that's going to solve your problem really fast, and and it's not going to cost you anything, and you just, got to trust him.
Yeah, that's right, got to trust him. And how are you going to trust the man that ought to be in prison now? If it's anybody else, they had been in prison, and he's out there, and he knows that if it wasn't for the Supreme Court, his people he put up there, that he would be in prison now. And how are you going to? He's going to trust him and all the stuff, the lies and women, the way he treated women and. A rapist and all this. And
He's a horrible person. He's the darkness, Joseph. He's not a good person. He's not a reputable person. He's not a person of any character or integrity or moral principles. He's not.
I know it.
Okay, and so he has to sell himself to people who for the last, 50 years of their party have said that they are the party of law and order, they are the party of moral principles, they are the party of faith, they are the party of the church, masses. And they've chosen this fraud, this con man, just like, the TV evangelists, they always get caught with their pants down with a goat or a boy.
Yeah, and something else they never talk about, and I watched it a lot. I watch TV a lot, and I was wondering when he was letting Pruden come over to the White House, and the president of China and all them, North Korea, and they didn't have nobody in there, they said, but him and them two in a interpreter, what it's called. And ain't no telling what he.
Oh, you're thinking about the Russians.
What now?
You're thinking about the Russians in the Oval Office. It was Sergei Lavrov and forget the other one that came into the White House after he won, and he kicked out the. People were very shocked to find out that there really are. There's a job called note taker, where somebody is in any meeting that the president has with any other world leader and takes notes and gives a readout to the general population about what was discussed. Maybe not the minutia of it or the details, but what was discussed. And he kicked it. But that wasn't North Korea. That was Russia. Dick in Dayton.
Hi, Randy. I wanted to question about Camilla.
Kamala.
Do you think, well, I call her Camilla.
Well, Camilla is the Queen Consort of England, and Kamala is the Democratic presidential nominee.
Kamala, okay.
You think she, comma, la.
Yeah.
Comma.
But, comma. Do you think she's going to, Prairie, Ohio. Now, Vance, a lot of people don't like, but what is your opinion of one or the other? Who you think's going to carry Ohio to get Ohio and this country straightened back up?
To get Ohio straight, your governor's name is Mike DeWine. He should be getting Ohio straightened back up. The states are the laboratories of democracy, and that all being said, he should be getting you straightened out. Who's going to win Ohio? I have no earthly idea. If I knew, do you know how much money I could make if my predictions about Ohio you could take to the bank? I could go to the bank. I don't know. What kind of a question is that?
Of what we know, unions know to be strength. It's about the collective. It's about understanding no one should ever be made to fight alone. That we are all in this together. You know why I fought my entire career for unions and labor? Because I understand the concept and the noble concept behind collective bargaining. And here it is. Fairness. Fairness. It's about saying, hey, in a negotiation, don't we all believe the outcome should be fair? I mean, who could disagree with that? The outcome should be fair. It should be fair, right? But when you're talking about the individual and a big company, and you're requiring that one individual to negotiate against a big company, how's that outcome going to be fair? So collective bargaining is about saying, let the collective come together around a common experience, which at its core is about dignity and the dignity of labor.
That's right.
And then let the people come together to negotiate so you make the balance. And then the outcome will be fair. And isn't that what we're talking about in this here election? We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. We want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do.
Now, that explanation of what collective bargaining is my explanation. It's a beautiful explanation. It's the only explanation. The idea that you would have to go and take on, Google or Microsoft or Amazon or wherever you work, if you work for a medical group and there's 20 doctors, and it's owned by, that you would have to go by yourself and negotiate by yourself against them, and they have all the numbers, they have the operating costs, they have all the info to tell you what they're willing to pay, and you take it or leave it. That's a fair negotiation. That's why collective bargaining matters. That's why collective bargaining exists. It exists to give balance to the negotiation, that it's not just one person. Now, the Republican Party has been deciding to tell you for as long as I have been alive and holding a microphone, that you are by yourself, that unions are bad, that unions are corrupt organizations, that unions serve no purpose, and that if you have unions and they negotiate a fair price for your labor and you get paid what you are actually worth, not what they're willing to pay, take it or leave it, then the price of everything will go sky high. The price of things, and really what's making things sky high in price is gouging. Gouging. When you have 5 companies that control all the shelves in all the grocery stores in all the country, and that's what you have, they can collude with each other and set prices, or they can deny people shelf space, or they can charge whatever the hell they want. You have somebody here who understands this. You have somebody here who understands gouging and antitrust and how to break up monopolies and how to add more voices to the conversation, not less. And she gets that this division thing is never going to work for us as people who work for a living, as people who are trying to have families, as people who buy houses. It's never going to work for us, this division. That the real strength is in numbers. And we all intellectually know that. That's not physics. That's not advanced geometry. That's not anything complicated. That's stuff I could understand. And it's stuff you know in your bones to be true. And so here you have decent people who are trying very hard to tell you that they see you, they hear you, they feel you, they understand, and that this weird thing about pulling yourself up from your bootstraps and that you are an individual and that is your power, instead of saying you are a collective bargaining group and that is your power, and that the real strength comes from the group. The real strength comes from the organization. Why do you think the company is organized? Why? Why would they be organized? And why do they want to be organized? So that when some upstart, tries to undercut their set price, what do? They either buy that company and shelve it, put it on a shelf so they don't have to compete with it, or they buy that company and raise the price of whatever it is they're selling. That's why they want to be organized. And they want you not to be. And the fact that we got a call just before from a guy named Tom in California, I don't know what your business is or anything like that, but that you told me in your phone call, the most important thing you said today was that you met her at a union hall years ago when she was Attorney General. That means she's believed in the collective bargaining proposal for the benefit of us who work for a living far longer than yesterday. Far longer than yesterday. In fact, she was on a picket line at Stellantis. And Donald Trump went to a non-union shop across the street in order to flip off the union. See? And that's what the division is all about. The way that you actually win in America is addition. Addition. You add to your group. You add to the people around you who are like-minded. You add to the people who show up to vote. You add to the voter rolls. What do? What was that call that we got today from this guy in California who's freaked out about all this organization around challenging your voter registration, around challenging your right to vote. And that's what they do. And now they have apps to do it, right? And so you got like 12 people in Denton, Texas, for example. You can look this up. 12 people in Denton, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas, using an app to challenge people to show up and demonstrate that they live where their registration says they live. Now, what if they're doing that to people who live in assisted living? Or what if they're doing that to people who live in senior villages, right? Do they have the energy or the transportation or the ability to drive anymore to go to the supervisor of elections office and to show their driver's license or to show their proof of address? No, they don't. So what do? They just strike them off the voter rolls. This is what they do. They try to make each and every person fight alone for their right to this or that. And we don't believe that that's the way to power. We think that the way to power is organization. And we're right. And that's what scares I don't want to curse, but that's what scares Donald Trump. It's what scared him out of his bed yesterday and out of his golf clothes, his sweaty, disgusting golf clothes, and into the lobby of Magaloco to tell lies for an hour and a half. He was trying to just get on TV. And you know why? Because all of their natural TV things have already occurred, right? They had their convention. Nobody even remembers it at this point, right? I just remember the really, really bad entertainment. Kid Rock, really? So they had their convention, and the only way he's going to get free TV now is to go to a debate, which is why he's willing to go to a debate. He needs press. Now, you would say, well, he raised so much money. Why doesn't he spend it on advertising? He lies and says that he's spending it on advertising. He's spending it on lawyers. Donald Trump is literally running for the presidency to keep himself out of prison. Okay? And obviously, this dividing us has a purpose. Making us feel alone has a purpose. Making us feel like we can't count on each other has a purpose. Creating chaos wherever he goes has a purpose. Everything that we think is guaranteed to us, I would check the paperwork this weekend. I would check the documents, because not everything that we rely on has been guaranteed to us.